Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4, Waking the Tiger, and of course we're playing as Germany. So let's continue this here as we're building up the Reich, ready for war. How are we doing on resources and trading? Oh, we're back to needing more. Okay. Put the squeeze on them. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, so, yeah, back to needing more of this. Venezuela. Yeah, for now, let's do that. And, both of those. All those extra factories needing to be fueled from Austria. There's one, Brandenburg. Well, well, let's look and just see if there's, yeah, well, we've added a lot to light tanks. So, let's put in, oh, we've already got these going, okay, I wanted to make sure we had some. Well, we'll start some transport going. And, okay, so we're well into 38. We've got those, and we need to maybe start, well, we should, before I forget about it, let's, well, we've got a lot of new templates. We'll train one of those right now, get that going. Oh, how did we end up there? That was weird. Okay, you show up there. Now back to this question here. Waiting for those two to, not yet. Okay, we could push ahead now and get that. Yeah. Let's go for that. And we put those into production. Yes, I am producing some naval bombers. I love naval bombers. Right here. Okay, and we've improved our radar. Conversion, well, we may be doing some of that, but no, stop. Let's push ahead on that. And more factories. We're producing all more factories. Producing a lot more now that we got Austria, and Austria is well developed. Okay, then I'll get that going, and we have enough here. That these will come, but let's get I like the agility and max speed. I just like that, so we'll go with that. Problem, but we have this, and we're going to do okay. You can't absolutely can't risk any of these. Air experience gain. I'll let it happen. Okay, well, these we probably should have done earlier, but let's get the signal company going. Okay. Yeah, that ain't a lot. Okay, well, when we can, we'll see about doing better conscription, I guess. Okay, good. Behind on tank production or something? No. Maybe another one there. And gross round rich shaft, sorry. Completed. So we can start working with these guys, but let's take liquefaction. That will help with that. Air innovation. Innovation. That would be very helpful as well. Quite ready for that. Yeah. 7 days. Well, let's look at Czechoslovakia briefly here. There's our C. So so there. Don't know what kind of other stuff they may have, but doesn't look like they are building too much there. So yeah, let's pursue the Man Sudetan lands. About that time anyways. And how is China doing? Japan and China. China still exists. Okay. No. We could do this here with them. That would be interesting. Send attaché. Oh gosh. Okay, well we have that, and okay. Well, they will not accept. Oh. Okay. So they won't accept our military attaché. Oh, okay. Thanks for that information. I didn't know that. Maybe we will have time for that, or maybe not. I don't know. Well, they shouldn't be asking for. Well, I don't know what the national focus is, but historically that wasn't until 1940. But still. Up our radars here. Trying to build things that don't require too much fuel or rubber. Yeah, it's a good idea. We can improve our relations for a while. Computing machines, great. So now we can do this. I want to go decryption first. Okay, oh, I understand what you're saying. Okay, so it'll take a while to get them to get over to being fascist as opposed to whatever this non-aligned political party is. They don't listen to me, of course, but hey. And again, best to keep those as long as I can. There was some talk that they're going to nerf these out a bit, but we'll see if that happens or not in regular. Okay, well, let's do that. That will increase our recruitable population. Okay, 4th International. Okay. So Munich Conference. France gets an alliance. We get listed date and land. They move out. Munich Agreement. Okay, well, we will take your advice. I will be smart and listen to advice, so we will do that. Because we now have more factories from here. Look at that, 3 military and 2 ICs and 1 military. Okay, that's very good. Go.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
Because we are going to not necessarily be able to trade as much as we would like, we will build some of those. Oil refineries. Well, let's look at our current. I think yes, and I probably should expanding the army, or motorize things. Okay, well, what I'm going to do now is this one. We're going to start another tank production. Put 4 there. And once we get this, we're going to switch it over to that. Just 8 days, but
Angetreten.
there we go. And this one here. I thought it was going to be a little bit longer than that, but put that over. And yes, now we need more oil. Get in from too far away, don't we? Need to back to the Dutchies, maybe right there. Rubber. Oh, we also Sweden. Okay, we've about pushed out on that. Well, go with Portugal. Okay, well, that's tempting, but no, not just yet. Let's come over here and add maintenance companies. What is our Navy doing? Okay, a lot of destroyers. Destroyers, okay. Let's cut back on. Oh, let's just change it. Let's go with light cruisers. Oh, well, let's actually, hold on. Let's just plus that to 1, so finish that one off. Yeah, we'll wait till that finishes off. Okay, hunt and destroy, good. Might as well continue to push here right now. Yes, those are almost done as well. Armored spearhead. Yes, push. Just before starting this stream here, I was playing Hearts of Iron 3 for that series, and I must say I do like the way 3 handles these better. So once you get the tech, or the doctrine here in this case, you can improve it over time. So you do Sureplunk better, or you do, you know, Armored Spearhead better, if you will. Okay, align Romania. So you do it better. You have gradient levels of it. It's not whether you have it or not. You have it. Plus, then you can do better at it over time. Logistics company, military police. Or what we need to do, and I've sort of been neglecting this, I think. Oh, way too ahead. Okay. We want that though. Do better invasions. Okay. Well, we're almost here for some of the 39 stuff. So, let's see if we have a shorter sort of window here for something. Yeah, but I don't want to waste it there. Well, we'll just wait. We may end up wasting a few days, but not much. Okay, so we've gotten Romania pushing towards us there. This will help us with some nations and hurt us with others, so 7 others. So let's go with... Hello, Arno. How you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, anti-Comintern pack. Yes, we do have them. We have several of them. Arno is our newest one. But he's really a nice guy. Yeah, we're just... Oh, we have one of these coming due. Okay. Complete that. get enough more. But we start heading to our military. How is Japan doing? Oh, they've united their sort of fronts, and they've done another naval invasion, it looks like. Either that or it got cut off, but probably another naval invasion. Very good for them. Okay, yes. No, I don't think Arno. At least I hope not, and so far we haven't. That whole thing last week was a real sort of problem. It was something to do with the ISP, which took 2 phone calls and a fair amount of time to finally get straightened out. But it was later that day that I did finally get it straightened out, but it was like 4 or 5 hours later. Ah, yes, St. Patrick's Day. All kinds of people claim St. Patrick. He was a British man, I would say. And I'm using that term very specifically, British. And who was captured by the Irish as a slave. We were talking about slavery earlier, those who just showed up or are watching later. Captured as a slave by the Irish, and then eventually gets back to Britain, becomes a Christian, and sort of an educated Christian, shall we say. He was of educated elitist sort of background of some sort. We don't know a whole lot about. I say various people claim St. Patrick, because he was a Briton, which in sort of modern terms sort of means Welsh, but not quite necessarily from the people of Wales. But he could have been a Briton from what is in today's Scotland, but probably more likely from this part of Britain, not England. The English weren't even really there yet. He was a Briton. And then he later goes back to Ireland to bring Christianity to Ireland. Okay, we're going to build even more tanks. I like tanks. Okay, we have enough that we can now if we'd done that earlier, it would be worth a lot more division training time. Don't know if I'm going to have time to... I like speed. We'll go with brow hitch. Oh, let's increase these guys a bit. There are some focuses to do that. Oh, and we can now do this. That's a little bit wasted. But I really wanted to get over here and do this as efficiently and as fast as possible. Hello, Bobby-Wan Kenobi. No, don't know specifically why I have more than you. I'm playing just the vanilla Waking the Tiger, going through it. Other than watching over when I, put this up on YouTube, you can see what I'm doing if there's anything different versus yours. Yeah, well, I don't have huge numbers. Okay, there's 67, there's 53, there's 9, and there's 10. And, what's that? No, those are ships. Yeah, so it's a bit more than 100, true, but, well, there's 12 here. So, a bit more than 100. Like, what, 100 and... Well, let's just see if we can grab this. 44 divisions, and then what's in these armies here? So, and all that. So yeah, it's quite a few, but not huge numbers. Well, yeah, I'm probably, I'm presuming that I'm making equipment and training them up. I have currently surpluses on everything, so I haven't been spamming, because sometimes when I see people play, they'll put huge numbers of divisions in training and not have the equipment to supply them. Yeah, I can see that. And which, in fact, we should probably be increasing. I'm going to increase panzers and mountains and airborne. So let's add a panzer division. Add a won't let me do that. Okay, for some reason it won't let me do that. Okay, because of this group's brigade or something. Not enough. Oh, special forces cap. That's right. It's now special forces, so it won't let me go too large on that. I knew that, but wasn't thinking in those terms. So we'll do that. Now we don't have much experience, unfortunately, so I do want to add more to the template. So if we come up to here, no, not that. Well, cancel that. I didn't do that really. Here's what I meant to do. We can see about throwing on a reconnaissance company and anti-tank support. Now, do we have enough of that equipment? Okay, not enough anti-tank, but we'll do that now. And that, what we'll do here is come over here and well, we are producing a lot more, so let's, as time goes on, we'll just add them all to towed anti-tank. And generally speaking, I would not recommend too much to start wars early. There are reasons. Trust me, I know. They do a lot of play balance, and for this game, and this is really heavily meant to be historical at the start in 39, late 39, to have roughly similar sort of balances. Now they may have fewer numbers of divisions than historically or whatever, but it's really sort of meant. Some nations like this has way more than they did historically, but they really try to get it so that
ausrücken.
it's balanced out between the players in a historical manner. So they really work on that. Well, first Vienna award, that will get us likely in Hungary to one degree or another. Okay, nothing out there. Z plan, but here without air facilities. That's very tempting, of course. Well, we're in January 39. We need the west wall. Let's go with west wall. We don't need it immediately, but we will be needing it, so. Yes, well, we do have the anti-Comintern Pact. I don't know if we're going to do that. We may very well come down to the Ribbentrop Pact instead. That's probably what we're going to do. Yeah, we'll see about that. I want to get this built as well. I want to do all kinds of things. Okay, yes, we've seen a massive fascist increase in Spain, or in Romania so far. Why did I say Spain? I don't know. But they're appointing a pro-Allied government right now. Here, so they're going this route, opposed to this route. Okay, now I think our last destroyer is now completed, so we're going to come for light cruisers. But light cruisers. Okay, I had. This we're going to start. How many ships? Fair amount of transport. Battle cruiser. Actually, we'll reduce that by 1. That started in production as well. I don't know. Let's see where the Ostwall. Okay. Any country must be true. So Tartu, Peskov, Minsk, Kiev. No, this is we've got to be much further east. because we're talking about Kiev and Minsk. Here's Kiev, obviously. Minsk is up here. So this is creating a sort of like winter's coming for the Soviets. Let's, you know, let's get back to a wall of some sort is what that is. They did sort of build a little bit of some of that stuff, but nothing too significant historically. Nothing like the West Wall or the Atlantic Wall. Nothing to that scale. The Dnieper River? Yeah, partially. I'm lousy with river names in Russia, figuring out which one's which. Obviously, if you watch the Hearts of Iron 3 series, we have the nice mod that gives us river names. And that is very convenient. Okay, we've got maintenance companies, good. Now we're going to come over here and expand here. Construction, speed, expanding, factories, whatnot. And our west wall. So now we have a west wall. Oh, and somebody wants to join the Axis. Romania. Well, great. So it's level 3 here. And what is it over here? Level 3 behind the Rhine. Okay. Well. Fight to faction. They will accept. So now we have Romania. We'll see how that affects things. And we have our west wall. We will consider doing that soon, but I think first we will do the first Vienna award. I don't know how this will work out now that Romania is in our faction. Okay, and yes, we will let them in. Yeah, we probably do need to upgrade submarines. Research. No, we're already to here, and we haven't got yet to the 1940s. So no, it isn't really time for new submarine type. Not yet. Oh, this is pulsing red. Yes, do that. Make sure we got improve our radar, but I think what we're going to do here is come and improve our artillery. Give the access if you give. Okay, well, too late now. Sorry, you can't take off a thing. So we'll see how this goes. If they leave, they leave. We'll see. Like I said before, I have not been playing the betas as much as I should be. Obviously, I can't talk about being in there, but I just am saying that I haven't been a dutiful tester. So. Dispersed industry, very good. helps. Now we'll come over here and improve your anti-tank guns. And okay, air superiority, air experience gain, or bad weather penalty. I prefer air superiority. Goering is not the best leader for, let me pause this, for the Luftwaffe from an organizational sense. He has no real staff training. He did lead the Stoffel or whatever of the Flying Circus after the Red Baron, at some point after the Red Baron gets killed. I don't know if immediately or there was somebody in between it. So he definitely has that experience, but he basically has very little modern flying experience. And so that also means Goering doesn't have a lot of you know, combined air operations experience. The idea of how best to keep fighters with, you know, close air support, you know, the Stukas versus the, you know, various tactical bombers. He doesn't have a lot of that experience, so he's not the best on that end. But what he is very good for historically for the Luftwaffe is he was such a high-ranking military figure within Nazi Germany. In fact, he's the #2 person, and as they say historically, if you will, if you want to put stars on it, Goering was the only real 6-star general ever created. You could sort of say George Washington was also, but that was about 200 years after his death. Because Hitler as Führer, and when he replaces Hindenburg, you know, as part of all that, he becomes head of the military. After the fall of France, Goering is made Reichsmarschall, which is not, because he'd already been like Air Marshal or Field Marshal in the Air Force, or however you want to say that. But he becomes Reichsmarschall, which actually puts him above the OKW, which is, the OKW is the thing that's supposed to be, not necessarily was, but was supposed to be overseeing all the armed forces. So it goes Hitler, Goering, then the OKW, and then each service branches, you know, the OKM, the OKL, the OKH below. So that's the ranking structure. So him as the second ranking military person in Germany, as well as such a very high ranking, he is Speaker of the Parliament, and I think he continues that. I know he was that for quite some time, and I think he continues that as well. And so long, and I don't know if Prussia ever officially disappears, but he is the president of Prussia, the leader in Prussia early on. So he's also very high up in the political structure within National Socialism. So with all of that, I'll get to reading what you guys are saying. I know you're saying a lot, but I want to get through this. He has a lot of influence. So because he has all this influence, he makes sure, sometimes for bad, but often for good, to make sure that there's a lot of resources for, like, aircraft production. Now, sometimes some of his decisions that he makes are bad decisions, but because of his power levels, there are lots of resources flowing to the Luftwaffe. Where with the Kriegsmarine, you don't have that. You don't have somebody who's politically connected leading the Navy. Raeder is a decent surface admiral, I believe, and a decent administrator of the naval forces, but he doesn't really understand or put enough value on the submarine forces. Donitz is a great guy for organizing up the subs, but neither of them are really politically connected. So they don't have this constant access to Hitler and getting the priorities that Goering does. So Goering, in that sense, and this is why when I rework things, I make Goering probably the best guy to run the Luftwaffe, because of his access, not because he's the best sort of general. Early on, the best leader functionally is Wever. He's really good, but he dies in an airplane crash very early on. And Ritter von Grimm, he's the last head of the Luftwaffe for what? Oh, I don't know, maybe 30 days or something like that. He gets once Goering surrenders, he's found out, I guess, to be negotiating through the Swiss to try to negotiate some sort of something with the Allies, and Hitler finds out about it and orders arresting of Goering or something. But Goering then, surrenders over to the Western Allies. Von Grimm, who's in Berlin at the time, it gets him put in charge of the Luftwaffe, and what's her name? The pilot, a woman, Hannah Reich, actually. I believe it's in a Friesler Stork, but in one of the little airplanes, I think it's a Friesler Stork, flies out along the main sort of street in which they had to cut down a few extra trees in Berlin as the Soviets have surrounded the city. She flies Ritter von Grimm out of, as basically the last flight out of Berlin. This is after Tempelhof Airport has been at least cut off from the bunker situation and where Grimm and Hitler were. But she flies him out of the center of Berlin to leave to then take over the Luftwaffe for less than 30 days or something like that. I think it's maybe like 10 or 15 days between him getting out and the Germans surrendering. Okay. Okay, and I'm not disagreeing with sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the name well. Adds that you do have other people running the show of administering it. Now, I'll entirely agree that he's more of a figurehead in a daily operational sense, but he isn't a figurehead in that at times early on with planning for the Sea Lion, Goering refuses. Just, no, you don't get to use it to Hitler's face. No, I'm not having the 7th Flieger Division be part of the invasions. Not right now. Not until I see the plan work. So he can refuse Hitler to his face about having his airborne units participate in the Sea Lion operation. He can order tactics being used of because so many Stukas were being shot down over Britain because it's a slow aircraft and shouldn't be used over Britain, but they were using them over Britain. So he orders for every squadron or Staffel or whatever of Stukas, you'll have 3 of fighters of Messerschmitts, one to go in first, another squadron to stay right with the Stukas as they operate, and the 3rd squadron to hang out above them to jump anybody who comes. So he does have more than figurehead power, but I will grant you that he's not daily running it, where a figurehead is somebody who just sort of is figuratively in charge of it, but not doesn't have the power. He has the power. He really does have the power. But I agree with you. He's a better politician. He's a better businessman or industrial organizer. He's doing other things a lot more. Haha, that's interesting. I haven't heard them dying off like that. Okay, so he was, because I don't know whether, I'm presuming that's a soft J, and I don't know if I've consciously heard, yeah, Kronex? Yes, Kronex? I don't know how you would pronounce that. Was Walter. Now, Walter Wever, he was a very good administrator, and he was an army officer that converts later in life and becomes a good pilot, but never like a fighter pilot, over to the Luftwaffe. But he's a proponent of strategic bombing. And strategic bombing was shown in World War II to not work well. And the only thing that saves strategic bombing in America ultimately is the atomic bombs that, because you look at how much effort was put in, particularly into Germany, but also into Japan, that, the American bomber guy, you know, Bomber Harris is popping up in my mind, but Curtis LeMay, that's it, Curtis LeMay. He was the proponent of strategic bombing and continues so. The only thing that really saves it in America, because they do a massive post-war analysis of bombing and its effects in Germany during the war, and they decided that it really wasn't worth the cost that they put it on. So even if Germany could have matched the U.S., and they couldn't have, but if they could have matched the U.S. in the strategic bombing levels, it wouldn't have been as effective as the tactical air force that Goering and others wanted. And that is a really important part. So Germany's air force, particularly when it comes time for going after Britain, is not prepared, is not equipped to fight a long-range battle. Just isn't. Their fighters are short-range fighters. They have very short times over London. They just don't do well in that kind of thing. But as a tactical air force, it is very good. And yeah, you're right, Curtis LeMay. That it's a very good tactical air force, and that's what it's done for. And had Wever lived, he might not have had as good of a tactical air force. So, but we're going to go for air superiority and advanced machine tools. Great. Okay, we got these. We'll see about coming for these at some point, maybe even right back here, but I'm looking at, let's do this. And we're going to end this episode, not the stream, just the episode. So, I want to thank everyone on YouTube for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos. If you would, it really does help out the channel. And hey, if you haven't already, go on to Twitch, Facebook, some other thing I haven't heard of, maybe in some other country, and post how much you like this series or my channel or something else. I'd really like to grow the channel more. That's really would help out. So if you could do that, love to see more people on the channel. So, and of course, please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas, corrections. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.